In tonight's Tax Insider, averting a federal shutdown. It's September, and in a few short days, Congress will be back in session with a long list of to-dos. One of them includes passing a federal budget for 2016. But can they do it? Joining me tonight for some answers is Ryan Alexander, president of the nonpartisan Taxpayers for Common Sense. Ryan, it seems like we're reliving a nightmare. Congress has a few days left to pass a federal budget, including Pentagon funding. Do you think we'll be looking at another continuing resolution?
I think there's no question we'll see at least one continuing resolution, probably several. I would expect Congress to come back and do at least one short-term continuing resolution and maybe make a budget deal that would lead to a full year CR, but we'll have to see how the first bump along the road goes and whether or not the hardliners in the House decide to make an issue out of the debt ceiling again this year.
Now, when a CR does happen, Ryan, the Office of Management and Budget sends Congress a list of programs that need funding between the time a full budget bill can be passed. Now, the Pentagon is upping the game this year. What have they decided to do?
So, as you said, the idea of a continuing resolution is that only programs that already received appropriations in the prior fiscal year get funding, and they get funding at the same level that they had the prior year. So the list from OMB is a list of anomalies of this program doesn't exist anymore, you can zero it out, this program faced an emergency, you should increase it. It's supposed to be, anomalies, a short list. But this year, what the Pentagon did is said, in the event of a full year continuing resolution, they wanted blanket authority for new starts, which is kind of exactly what a continuing resolution is not supposed to fund. So new starts and program expansions, they just want blanket authority to move forward with that, despite the fact that that circumvents the whole idea of a continuing resolution.
Do you think other agencies could follow the Pentagon's playbook?
Well, I think the dynamic will be that other agencies say that's a great idea. We would also like to have authority for new starts, but I think at the same time there will be people in Congress who say we can't go down that rabbit hole and we should definitely cut this off. So I think there's this equal chance that there's a rush from other agencies and that there's kind of some sane voices in Congress that say we can't do that.
Of course, Ryan, as you know, the end of the fiscal year also signals a federal spending spree. Many agencies are using the leftover cash, and some say it's not being done efficiently. What do you make of this use it or lose it tradition? It's a bad deal for taxpayers, isn't it?
It's absolutely a bad deal for taxpayers, and it just also goes back to the whole idea of kind of we can't get the budget done on time, and we can't do regular order budgeting and appropriations, which allow agencies to have time to plan. It's a horrible idea for taxpayers. I would hope no business would run that way, but also you kind of understand where the agencies are coming from of we have no idea what's coming next.
Right.
We may get a 3-month bill, we may get this, we've got to spend on some of these things that we see as priorities. But there's not enough oversight. There's no way that we're going to avoid all the waste. It's definitely a bad deal for taxpayers.
All right, let's talk about scientific research. The U.S. has been funding numerous projects for decades, and many aren't even located in the U.S. How much money have we spent?
So the National Science Foundation has an overall budget of about $7 billion, and then about $5 billion of that is for grant making, give or take. Probably a lot of those programs, if not most, are good projects, but there's been a real failure in oversight, and there have been some recent settlements that have shed light on that. There was a really egregious settlement with Northeastern University in Boston for a grant for nuclear particle physics research, where they just didn't do it. They didn't have a specialty in it. They didn't do it. It was $80 million. So that just, it points to an incredible lack of oversight.
Now, tax advocates say all of this wasteful spending is proof that the NSF needs reform. Have any lawmakers put on their to-do list?
There are people who are looking at NSF and want to see reform. Lamar Smith is one of them. But again, from my point of view, this is really an overarching problem of oversight. The Inspector General at NSF and NSF should have provided much greater oversight of this grant and all grants, and Congress should be providing oversight. They need to do the budgets on time, do the appropriations on time, and then circle back and do oversight and make sure that that money is being spent well. All the arguing about spending too much and too little means that we guarantee waste as opposed to making sure that we're nipping it in the bud as it goes along.
We'll go through this conversation with the same questions, the same answers, it seems, year after year. I'm not cynical, I just know that not much changes. Ryan Alexander, president of the nonpartisan Taxpayers for Common Sense. Keep up the great work, Ryan.
Thanks for having me.